Yeah, you know what the show is. We got a lot of stuff to get into today. I'm Max, that's Sybsidian of the Triple S League. Let's just get right into it. We got like a whole bunch of stuff. Gamescom, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to Black Myth Wukong. I played a bit of it. I'm going to get some of my impressions, but I would be remiss, Syb, if we didn't start with this. Silent Hill 2 news came out on Monday, and as anybody who knows anything about me knows, I am one of the biggest fans of Silent Hill on the planet. I've done a whole bunch of videos on my channel. Although, you know, you would expect somebody who is a mega fan like me to be a little bit more excited about what Konami has been doing for the Silent Hill franchise lately. That has not been the case. I've been extremely pessimistic. Like trying to be hopeful where I think it's reasonable to do so, but just, you know, there's enough reason there to be pessimistic to keep that feeling intact. You know, obviously we're talking about Konami here. Obviously we're talking about Bloober, who, you know, some people like their games, but a lot of people don't. I'm one of them, with the exception of Observer, which I think is one of the top 10 most underrated games of the last 10 years. But, you know, there's always questions about, like, when you take a classic game like Silent Hill 2, which some say hasn't been surpassed to this day in terms of psychological horror, can a team like Bloober and a producer like Konami bring that back in the modern era and do something good with it? Obviously, very skeptical. But Syb, Konami put out like 27 minutes of gameplay on Monday. They also, like a whole bunch of outlets got previews for it. Game Rant, IGN, Push Square, a bunch of others. And then there was a story trailer too. Like, obviously we know the story, but we get to see it with all the wonderful new graphics that are part of the remake. Syb, I never thought I would say this, but this footage finally made me excited. I never ever thought I would say that prior to the release of the game. For a year and 10 months, I had been like just anticipating the worst, hoping for the best. But now with the stuff that I've seen and the stuff that was said in the previews, I'm not at a point where I feel like it's okay to be excited somewhat. So why do I say that? Well, I'll give a couple of key reasons and then I'll pass it off to you. One thing that a lot of people were really concerned about is whether or not Silent Hill 2 was just going to be a clone of the Resident Evil remakes that had come out recently. And, you know, there's reason to suspect that. There was a trailer they released about 5 or 6 months ago just showcasing the combat, and it really did look a lot like they were just copying Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remake. But what we saw in the footage and what a lot of people were getting across in the previews is that while there is the over-the-shoulder mechanic with the aiming reticle and all that, it's not a one-to-one recreation. In fact, and this is important, what they have done with the combat system is they've kept a lot of that old-school survival horror janky controls, which is very important. And obviously, you know, when you hear about janky controls, that doesn't actually sound like it's a positive most cases, but it can be used in a way where it can be positive, particularly in a horror game like Silent Hill. And the reason why it works so well in the original Silent Hill titles for the PS1 and the PS2 is because it was the restrictive controls that you had to fight against, which made the experience a whole lot more terrifying. And according to, like I said, the previews and the footage, it seems like they're keeping that intact while also updating the combat. So they're getting rid of all the negative jank, but keeping all the positive jank. And Syb, you have no idea how happy it is to make me hear that. Like I did a reaction video to all this footage last Tuesday, and I believe, like, my almost exact words were, when I heard about this, I turned into Meg Ryan from the diner scene from When Harry Met Sally. That's how happy it made me. All right. What else? Performances across the board seem to be done really, really well. Like I said, I've been saying this for the last couple months. The one thing that I've been really positive on is how they've been handling the new characterizations. You know, if any of you have ever played the original Silent Hill games, you'll know that the performances are famously bad. Not Resident Evil 1 levels of bad, but pretty close. But, you know, it's sort of the hamminess and the line delivery that's sort of added to that otherworldly, freaky feel that you get from the Silent Hill games and added to their charm. what they're sort of doing with the remake, the Silent Hill 2 remake, is they're trying to do it in a more of a David Lynch type way, where the God, jeez, do you hear that motorcycle? Um, people it
He's
just
he's excited for the game. He's
yeah, me
excited for the
too. Yeah, just a whole bunch of rednecks that totally know what Silent Hill is. Yeah, people going up and down the highway on their motorcycles today, man, it's been ridiculous. But anyways, what the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, performances. Very David Lynch in the way that the new performances are happening, where it's like they seem to be delivering their lines realistically, but something feels off. And anybody who's ever seen like Twin Peaks or Mulholland Drive or Lost Highway will know exactly what I'm talking about. And in my opinion, for the most part, they're nailing it. There is one or two things with the way that the character Maria is delivering some of her lines, which I'm not entirely happy about, but I'm not panicking. I just need to see more. Let's see. Sound design, obviously amazing. World design, art direction, graphics, for the most part, look amazing. And the best thing of all, side, is the fact that it's not just me. Across the internet, there's been a great wave of positivity for the Silent Hill 2 remake, which is something that, if there was, I wasn't expecting to feel excited at all. If there was something that I wasn't expecting more than that, is that the discussion around Silent Hill 2 remake would be more positive and more healthy. Because look, I was going to have to cover Silent Hill 2 remake because of all the Silent Hill videos I've done in the past, but I was sort of dreading it because I just didn't want to have to deal with the toxicity. But my God, it's like a light switched on or off, or however you want to look at it, overnight when this footage came out. Everybody's like excited about it. Who would have thought? So yes, very happy. I mean, like, there's one or two things that I'm not like, I'm a little bit iffy about, and there's one or two things that I'm still like, oh my God, they could easily mess this up. Like in the video that I did, I was talking about how they might be clamping down on some of the sexual themes, which are very important to Silent Hill 2. But overall, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm at the point where I cannot wait for October 8th. The only thing that sort of sucks, though, is that it's coming out 2 days before Metaphor ReFantazio, which really pisses me off. It could have released at any time, but it had to be 2 days after. Okay. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm very positive. Side, I've talked long enough about this. Did you see any of the new footage? Any thoughts?
So you're right about the certain themes that people don't like talking about when it comes to gaming and stuff like that, and how important they are for the storyline. And people don't seem to understand that that's the point of it being there. The point of it to be there is to only titillate the idiots out there, I guess you could say, like or the naive, or the overly young, or the but it's there for a reason, because it plays a part of his psyche that plays into the horror aspect. And I'm really annoyed at seeing this kind of stuff get deleted in a bunch of places, because it definitely takes the edge off of when you're telling an actual story that's actually supposed to have, like, a hard hitting effect. So yeah, count me in the number of people who are looking at that decision going, why do you not? It's like somebody going into like all the old like greats, like all the old like Michelangelo and whatnot artwork, and then just painting clothes on a bunch of people because right, like it's like no, that's there for a reason. And again, there's this.
Well, here's the thing, though. Sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think it's a one-to-one comparison between Silent Hill and
Probably
other
not.
things that are happening like that, because just like I have concerns about the way it might be implemented or might not be implemented in the game, but there is plenty of evidence to suggest that the themes are still going to be there and presented as they were. It just seems like they're changing it a little bit, which I'm very iffy about. But it's it's not like they're there's the meme like they're sanitizing it for modern audiences, right? I don't think that's what they're doing. They might be a little bit, but not like wholesale, right?
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. So it's but yeah, it is very interesting. It's very important because, like, and I mean, ancient religions figured this out like a long time ago, and the importance of it. And I've studied this one place. It's a Hindu temple called, and I'm going to butcher this because I do not know how to pronounce this, but I think it's I thought I was really going to get it, but nope. Karguraho, uh, Karguraho, I think is what it's called. And
Karguraho. Okay.
yeah, something like that. And it's this temple in India where the outside of it is covered in these extremely out there provocative symbolisms and carvings and stuff like this, and it's insanely like it's like over the top and ridiculous in some in some senses. It's like it's just way in your face, but it's there to teach the people that if you can't get past what's on the outside, then you won't discover the truth that's on the inside, and that the deep thinking is not for people who can't get past that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this, so when you're talking about psychology, it's really important because we're sexual creatures, and these are really, really important things. And I think that when we disregard it, either when we make it cheap or when we ignore it or when we try to stamp on it or my favorite thing in the world, censor it, right? It's like that's not going to help that's not going to help get the message out about it or get people to understand it at an appropriate level.
Yeah.
And any kind of an extremism is bad in that cycle. Going overly focused on it is bad, and under focused on it is bad, and ignoring it or trying to like sweep it under the rug. Like all of these things are bad in their extremes for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, at any rate, I thought I mentioned that, and then I am hopeful that again that this IP gets put back in its proper place, because that's what we all want as fans. We want good games. We don't want to have to see any of our favorite IPs die. And I have to point out again, because I will say that one of the probably the number 2 most actual horror game in psychological horror game in the world, it's suffering from the same thing where the creator doesn't want to expand upon it because he doesn't see a need to. And I don't like that, because I think IPs can be like, they don't have to have the same characters. They don't have to have the same things. You don't have to make it a 1-for-1, but carrying on the story is legitimately important to maintain the overall direction and health of the gaming industry. Is to, like, when you have a good story, continue it. When you have a good IP, continue it. Even if you can't continue it from the main characters, it's like the themes and the stylization within that is good, and I want to see more out of it. So I hope this is what happens with this, because
it is going to happen. Like,
yeah,
if
yeah,
I look,
but not for all the games that I think are lacking that, because there's a lot of them.
Sure, yeah, that's true. Where I imagine that if I were a betting man, I would say that Silent Hill 2 remake is going to sell well enough and is going to do well enough in terms of critical reception that Konami is going to follow through with Silent Hill Townfall and Silent Hill F, which is the one that I think everybody's looking forward to. But yeah, the same can't be said for a lot of other pre-existing franchises, especially horror franchises. Yeah, good luck on getting Dead Space 2 remake anytime soon.
Yeah. Now the one I was alluding to there, of course.
Don't say Doki Doki Literature Club.
Was Doki Doki Literature Club? Did you ever actually play it? Or
I did.
Yeah.
It's good. I wouldn't say it's number 2, but it's good. It was interesting. Yeah.
I think it's number 2 just because of the, like, I would say from the straight up psychological horror, and that comes from the actual gameplay, which is what a lot of people tend to forget or avoid. But it's the actual gameplay where your psyche is slowly tricked into thinking about the worst possible things. And I think that's the hidden, like, super genius of that game. It's not the shock, it's not the surprise, it's not the the sudden turnarounds. It's the actual way that the game makes you think, and then how your subconscious ends up pushing yourself towards that. And that's, like, really horrifying, but a lot of people don't realize how horrifying it is. A lot of people just don't even realize it's happening, which is, I think, even more horrifying. And then, as we all know, the number one most horrifying, um, it's not really a game, it's an application, but you run it on your computer every year, and that's your whatever program you use to do your taxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, truly, truly horrifying to, levels that I don't think we've really quite grasped. It truly is horrifying.
Yeah.
To do your taxes. So yeah, I would say that beats pretty much everything out. I'm kidding, of course.
Right. Well, I mean, doing your taxes does beat out a lot of things in terms of horror. But yeah. Anyway,
I know. Some people are going to be groaning in the comments, but it's okay. It's just good fun. It's just good fun.
Yeah, just relax, guys. It's all good. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Those are Syb's thoughts. Do you have any thoughts on the new Silent Hill 2 stuff that has come out, ladies and gentlemen? We want to hear from you in the comment section below, whether you're positive or negative on it. We do want to hear from you. Just please keep it civil. And I would really appreciate if the train would just shut the F up right now while I'm trying to do my podcast. All right. Anyway, what do we got up next? Okay, yes. Oh, this is a huge piece of news. So, Syb, at the end of last year, we did our top 10 most anticipated games coming out in 2024. Mine was my number one was Hellblade 2, and it was good. It was a disappointment. And number two was Little Nightmares 3, but that got postponed to wherever. I know they showed new stuff at Gamescom, but I'm not really looking at any of that stuff until I can get a concrete release date, because I don't want to get too excited and then just have to wait for a ridiculously long time like some people are with Hollow Knight Silksong. But my number three was Black Myth Wukong, which finally came out this past Tuesday, a game that a lot of people have been looking forward to for the past 4 years, ever since we saw those initial previews of what the people over at Game Science in China were trying to go for. And it looked great, and it's continued to look great up until its release this past Tuesday. I've been playing it, and I'm going to give my thoughts on it in a second. But before we do, we got to talk about something huge. So I think it's safe to say that probably the biggest news story, one of them at the very least, one of the top three of the first half of 2024, was the immeasurable success of Palworld. How they just sort of came out of nowhere and showed, what a single great idea can do, which realized to a full enough extent could be enjoyed by a lot more people than, the game that it's obviously ripping off, which is Pokemon. Palworld is certainly not a AAA game, but, it gives people what they've been asking for from the Pokemon franchise in some updated ways, some not so refined ways, because it is a AA game. But it was awesome, and enough people liked it that it became on Steam the second game with the highest number of concurrent players ever, substantially behind PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, which was like 3.2 million concurrent players, and Palworld had 2.1 million. Which is still impressive, it's 1 and 2. But anyway, Black Myth Wukong came out on Tuesday and set the new record for the number 2 spot, getting 300,000 more concurrent players than Palworld. It has a peak of 2.4 million concurrent players on Steam. That's amazing. That's huge. I guess we should have seen it coming, Syb, because, it's safe to say that Black Myth Wukong is sort of like the first of its kind coming out of that country, being like a single player AAA game. Like, obviously China has a whole bunch of big games that make them a lot of money, but they tend to be more mobile and more gacha games. This is sort of like more in the line of the type of games that you and I enjoy. Now that it's available, obviously a whole bunch of people from China were going to support it, and it's especially sort of a patriotic thing for them to do, because it's so representative of their culture, because it's based off of one of their most foundational texts, Journey to the West. 80% of that 2.4 million player count from all the data that I was able to gather are from China. So we should have seen this coming, and we should be able to see it coming if any more games like Black Myth Wukong come out in the future. That the numbers are going to be of that size. So now the question is, as I was just alluding to it before, is it deserved? Well, I've been playing it, and Syb, I can say, yes, it is. It's a very, very good game. It's certainly not disappointing in any degree. It's actually quite impressive from a number of different perspectives. Obviously, the number one thing that sort of jumps out is the graphics. It's made in Unreal Engine 5. Therefore, the game is going to be like one of the top 10 best looking games on the market right now, and it certainly is. I've been playing this with my wife for like the past few days, like for a couple hours each night, and every 15 or 20 minutes, I just have to stop myself and just look around and be like, oh my God, this is unbelievably, I cannot believe how gorgeous this thing looks. And we're playing on PS5, we're not even playing on PC. Let's see, what else? Combat system. The combat system is really, really easy to get into, and it's really innovative. You know, obviously a lot of people have sort of been comparing this game to the Souls genre, calling it a Souls-like, and it is to some degree, not so much in other degrees, but it really has done enough to sort of set itself out apart from the Neos of the world and the Dark Souls of the world by creating its own combat system. Instead of having like a multitude of different weapons that you can use, you just have one, which is the monkey stick, the Monkey King Sun Wukong. And you can add things to it, like you can add like a couple of enhancements onto it here or there, but it's mostly just a stick. And then the variety of stuff around that are magical spells that you can use. And there's a lot of them. It's really, really easy to keep track of, and they're a lot of fun to use. You can use different stances for your stick. So there's like smash stance, there's pull stance, and there's thrust stance. And my favorite is pull stance because you can hold down the Y button for a heavy attack, and he sort of just jumps on top of the pole, and then he sort of brings it back over his head and slams it down on people. It's so much fun. What else? Great use of the Journey to the West mythology. I'm a little bit familiar with it because I've been doing a lot of research into Buddhism lately, and the way it's integrated into the world is actually quite clever. It's going to go over most Westerners' heads, but you know, I'm sure that's the case for the Dark Souls games and Elden Ring for a lot of people who aren't so into the lore, and they're just happy to sort of be a part of that world. Let's see, what else? Yeah, it's mostly like it's a really, really solid first effort at a AAA game from a company that has only made like 2 games prior that were a lot smaller. I will say though that because it is their first AAA game, there are a couple of first time mistakes that you can sort of see coming from a mile away from these people. They're not game breaking, but they are annoying. Like for example, the big problem that I have with Black Myth Wukong is that there's so many different places in the world that it looks like you should be able to go. Like you should be able to climb on top of this. Maybe this will lead me to a secret where I can get a material that can let me craft something. Over the last 6 hours I've been playing this, that problem where I'm just running into an invisible wall must have happened to me 100 times. It's really, 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 really annoying. And yeah,
this is more, it's more visual substance than it is actual substance. And I know some people are going to get mad at me, but it's not a big studio that's been around for a long time. A lot of this studio is young guys right out of college. They don't it's very simple to create a kind of an on rails place where it just funnels you from arena to arena to arena. It's very simplistic. It's easier to do. Anytime you start adding in, you know, any kind of complexity, it increases the difficulty of creating the game by many factors.
Oh yeah,
and starts to compound on itself. So I'm not saying that this is definitely like a very good AA studio that has managed to create one of the best AA products that we've seen in quite a while. And that when you look at what it offers, it actually offers you, exactly what it wants to offer you. But that extra depth isn't there and shouldn't necessarily be expected because, again, it is a very small new studio. And I do believe the cost is still like quite.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not full price. It's
yeah,
like $20
yeah.
less, which is great. And yeah,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right, Saib. I don't expect that from what I do expect though is just to refine the edges of the map just a little bit, just to make it obvious to me that I'm not supposed to go there. Because
Yeah.
like I swear to God, every single person playing this game is going to have that problem. Now, it's annoying. It's very annoying. But the good thing is that the combat and the world is so gorgeous to look at that you're able to deal with it. And it's really it's not it's a good balance. You know, it offsets those problems quite well. There's one or two other things. Darn it. I just had it in my head. Well, anyway, that's the big major thing. And then yeah, like great pace, great bosses so far, great boss design. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's really worth your time. I will say, like, if you're going in there, like, if you're a long-time veteran of, like, Souls-like games, it's definitely going to be one of the easier ones. Like, my wife and I are just plowing through this, no problem. It's like I'm going to use some Dark Souls terminology. It's about as easy as Demon Souls, if not easier. So that's saying something. But nonetheless, just being immersed in the world and just the gorgeous looking world, great art direction, great combat, you'll forget about that very, very quickly, and you'll have a great time. So yeah, I can't wait to get back and play more of it. Cyber, are you gonna play it? You gonna check it out?
Probably when I get some time to get around to it.
Yeah, I feel that.
It's timing's crazy. I still wanted to get into the first Descendant a little bit because just not like hardcore, but just a little bit because there are tons of people talking about that.
Yeah, I hear.
What it's about.
What is it like? What is it? I heard like good people saying that it's good. Other people saying it's
it's like
yeah.
It's like a team shooter, and lots of people in the community like team shooters, and so yeah, I just wanted to because it's free to play. I just wanted to dip in and give it a quick try, but I haven't even had a chance to do that yet because everything is happening all at once. So yeah.
No kidding. Yeah, I need to find time to, because I got a couple games that I got to get ahead on for the month of October because I got to do that Spooktober stuff. You know, maybe I can do something on Doki Doki Literature Club. No, we were talking about that. Sorry, go ahead.
And I have been looking forward to trying this other game that just came out just recently called Tactical Breach Wizards, which is like the name itself and the concept behind it is just like, yeah, okay, this is brilliant. So they're, Gandalf style wizards that have figured out that if they put their staff into a gun mount and then, tweak their magic, they could just shoot like, make it shoot like a machine gun. And then the whole aesthetic around it is built around that like the SWAT, like breaching buildings. It's so funny. It looks so good. I am so very, very entertained by the idea and the concept. I'm like, yeah, this is good. I like the concept. I like the idea. This makes me giggle and laugh like an idiot. So
that's what the first Descendant is? Oh no, sorry. Tactical breach. I'm sorry. My brain sort of broke at that concept because I'm just trying to imagine how somebody could come up with it. It's like, somebody got high one night and they're like, well, I like Lord of the Rings and I like Rainbow Six. What if we put them together, man?
Right? So it's a hilarious concept, and I really do kind of like it. But I haven't had a chance to touch that. There's been a couple other games that have come out, and man, we're not going to get any rest because Gamescom just happened, and we got 1,000 titles from that.
Yeah. So let's just jump into that. Like, yeah. I mean, I have a few. They didn't announce a lot. Like, some
Mhm.
decent stuff, like nothing huge. Like I was hearing people before the thing say we're going to see Legacy of Kain remaster. I even saw somebody say I don't know why I even listened to this guy say this. We were going to see something regarding Half-Life. Ha ha. Anyway, yeah, you go ahead. So what's been
Yeah.
happening?
So a lot of titles. We can't go into like not even a quarter of them here because there was just an enormous amount of stuff. There was a whole showcase that I didn't even get to watch.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is it's really getting quite big over there. Actually, I got to congratulate Gamescom for actually, you know, improving it. Of course, uh, Dream Boy was over there too, doing all of it, doing his shows as well. So I mean, it's like right. Jeff has really
Oh,
like
Keely.
cornered.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really cornered the universe there. So yeah, interesting. I hope we get actual competition because he's got to stay on his toes if he wants to do this good. So I'll give you my highlights that some of the titles that I looked at, spotted, and went, "Ooh, this is very good," including some good news around Civ 7.
Mm.
So Civilization 7 isn't out yet. It is dropping in, I believe, February. So woo, I'm really excited. I'm a huge Civ fan. I've been playing it forever. I hate that they're published by 2K, but
Right.
they're kind of Sid Meier is kind of his own thing over there. He's his own force of nature. Um, it's the one game that I'll actually like sidestep my boycott of them to get, and again, it's because there's a pretty big distinction between them and that. Um, and this news actually kind of lends to that, and that is that 2K got done away with their stupid launchers for their stupid games. Well, specifically Civ. So yeah. So Civ 6 no longer has a launcher. Civ 7 won't have a launcher. The whole concept of pressing the button to create a window so that you press another button to play the game, it's really dumb, especially when they are being sold through, Steam. So from startup, I have to start Steam, then I have to click the, boot up Civ 6, which pops open a launcher, and then I have to click play on the launcher to actually get into the game. And while it's not a big thing, it is incredibly annoying. I hate it. Pretty much everybody else hates it, and now we don't have to deal with it anymore. So
Dude.
huzzah!
On that
Um,
note, screw Rockstar, because I had
yeah,
problems for months trying to play
right.
GTA 5 on PC, and every 30 to 45 minutes, because of the launcher, I was able to figure out
Mhm.
why I was having that problem. I had to find a way to work around it, but yeah, it caused the damn thing to crash. Yeah, why? Why does it have to be that way? But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, uh, overall, Civ 7 looks great. It looks like they looked at pretty much everything in humankind and went, "Hey, yeah, let's just take all of those ideas." So they took all the best ideas from humankind, all the best stuff from like Civ 6, and they've meshed them together. So now we have a very interesting. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited to see how this evolves and changes over time. And I think I did call it. I said that I believe that humankind was going to end up changing Civ 7 because they were going to be pushing like just straight out of the box new ideas, things that they have never done before, and that's a good thing. Excuse me. All right, so that's that. I'll go through this list here. So we got Spine. This is Gunfu. John Wick composer helped to make the music for the game,
That's
and this
appropriate.
is, I would say, probably one of the best looking Gunfu games I've ever seen. Um, I really like the overall look of it. It's very cool. It's very interesting. If you have been looking for a Gunfu game, check that one out because they're really trying hard to embrace the spirit of John Wick.
Yeah, I like the concept. I'm just curious as to how it'll play. Will it just be like a
Mm.
series of quick time events? Like how will the button inputs work there? Like I don't
I
know.
did. I didn't see how that worked. It did look very smooth though, so I got to say that it legitimately looked really good.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Zero Space. This is an RTS. It's got a pretty big story with it. It's got a lot of old devs that used to work on a lot of the RTSs from our youth, and the RTS genre is trying to come back, and they're trying to do it in a hard way.
Nice.
Like they are really pushing themselves quite hard, and it's genuinely looking really, really good. Then we got Metaphor Refantasio, which I thought was announced before, but this is another Persona-esque from the actual Persona developers, I believe.
It was announced like a year ago.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because there were a lot of Persona style games announced about a year ago, so I wasn't sure if this was the one. But it looks really good. Looks really interesting. Want more of these JRPGs, like really good, well-made games, whether it's turn-based, whether it's like more like kind of like Zelda-y. It's like I approve of all of them. We want more of this stuff because Japanese RPGs are some of the best out there, and they make such good products. I want to see more of them. I want there to be a healthy environment in which a lot of these games find success.
Support Atlas. Make their games more popular in North America, please. Sorry, go ahead.
And speaking of absolutely awesome Japanese products, we've got Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah.
Which, not the first time we've seen this, but it's getting closer to the launch date, and the game is just looking absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, and big. I've always liked the combat of Monster Hunter. It's very like in depth. It's very large. It allows you to like really like
customize,
move into customize and have these fights where it's like you're fighting a giant monster, and it's all about your skill.
Mm-hmm. You know, I was going to get into Monster Hunter World way back in the day, but just
it was so hard to, and I it's one of those things where it's like I wish I had more time, because I really did like it, and I really did like the way that they embraced some of that stuff.
Yeah,
and they actually embraced. Not embraced, but they never bothered the modding community and a couple other things for an MMO that's always kind of a little on the tricky side. But yeah, just overall, like kudos to them. It's looking great. I hope they have an absolutely stellar launch with it.
Yeah,
and yeah, looking forward to it.
I will be playing it. This will be my first Monster Hunter game, and I'm pumped for it. And Capcom has been kicking ass lately, and we fully expect that this one will kick ass as well.
Right. Then we've got Dragon Age Veilguard. Sorry. I mean, my bad. Veilguard.
Yeah. When is that coming out? Isn't it at the end of the month?
Soon. I am still like, the first trailer was an absolute. I mean, it wasn't like intentionally like terrible, but it was not good. It was really not good, and then they tried to come out with another trailer, and they were clearly overcompensating. At this point, I have no idea what the game is even going to play like. So I guess we're just going to sit back and let some other people play it first before I even touch it.
Yeah.
And see how it actually goes. I'm hearing a lot of rumors and back and forth stuff. There's a lot of it that's gone kind of like, I've heard that you can control every character in your group. I've heard that you can't control every character in your group, which I'm pretty sure that's actually the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you only control yourself, and then you just give your companions suggestions as to what to do. So like, and again, how that it actually ends up playing out. Does it feel good? Does it feel smooth? Dragon Age is one of it's one of the weirdest games where the IP has come out, where it's like, its inception was amazing, everybody loved it, and then they kept on trying to embrace this like the COD gamers, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And they just kept trying to push in that direction, even though there was a million people going, "Hey, why are you like treating us like garbage? Like we exist. We want to play your game. We want to support you. We want to grow." Oh, yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And then of course Baldur's Gate 3 comes out and proves to them exactly that actually no, it could in fact happen, and they literally walked away from potentially one of the greatest things. And the super dumb thing is that at no point did that style of CRPGs, at no point did those beautiful games ever become unpopular. That every release was just getting more successful and more successful and more successful, and then you had other smaller companies putting out variants of it as much as they could, and even those small companies were having more and more and more success. So it's so mental to. I don't understand what idiots. Oh, sorry, it's EA, of course.
Right, yeah.
I can't imagine what knuckle dragging idiot could just sit there and go, right, I think we want to I think we want to do this because this makes sense. It's like, no, it doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this? This doesn't work now. Why are you doing this? This is so dumb. I mean, for crying out loud. You had a good thing. Why are you ruining it? Why are you walking away from it? You're literally the OGs of this style. It's literally like right there. You have millions of people lining up to get your next one. And then you just go, yeah, no, we want the COD. We want the COD audience. It's like,
yeah.
Most of I'm sorry, I'm going to insult a bunch of gamers again. Most of the COD people, they're not exactly the smartest tools in the shed.
Sharpest, you mean? Yes.
Like, they're just trying to build an empire off of that is one of the dumbest things you could do. Can it work? Yes. Can it work if there's 20 companies doing it? Probably not. A lot of them are going to fail. Because again, small minds. I'm not insulting everybody who's ever played COD.
Of course not. No.
I really need to emphasize that. COD is its fun, and COD is interesting in its scenarios, and other games like it are interesting in its scenarios, and they offer a completely different thing that not everybody has, which is totally a get. I'm talking about the people who that's the only game they have ever played, ever. Like ever. Like that's, as far as they're concerned, that's the only thing there is in the video gaming universe. They don't understand any other genre of video games. They understand, shoot the thing, and they're not even good at it. Like their win ratio is like 2%. Like those are the types of gamers, which is a large chunk of people who do play that game. Not a majority, but a large chunk.
Yeah, it's the reason why I stopped playing Overwatch. It's just because I got paired with one of those people every single match that I played, and they always drag me down.
Exactly. Yep. And people like that are in all kinds of games. Like Overwatch, Apex, all those games. Yep. There's a lot of them have moved into those kinds of games. And again, it's the only thing they ever play. Right? Like the only thing they ever play. They're hyper toxic. They're just not really good, and it's just been like, and it's very frustrating. So yeah, I don't mean to insult people who find those games fun. I'm just insulting the people who that's the only thing they play, and that's the market that these really dumb CEOs have been trying to net, because they're like a big dumb school of fish, and they think that if they can just get the net around the whole school, then they'll bring it all up and they'll have so much money. And it's like, but
remember when you tried to make Battlefield 2042 like Overwatch? Yeah, how well did that work out for you? Maybe don't try to make Dragon Age like Call of Duty. How about that?
Yeah, so that's a big disappointment. I don't know. Again, Dragon Age is going to be good, bad, whatever. It could be that it's amazing and that they just have really terrible people in marketing right now, which also would make sense. Yeah. But yeah, speaking of game that was really, really amazing, Sims has evolved. and I
Uh
am scared.
oh, what do you mean?
The new Sims game that was just announced.
Oh, Sims 5?
Yep, brand new Sims game,
Oh.
and it looks. It's got like GTA graphics, like new GTA graphics. So this is kind of huge. I was honestly like shocked by its overall look and feel and everything. It looks absolutely amazing.
Wait, what's it
So
called? I'm looking up Sims 5 and it's not called Sims 5 whatever you're talking
no,
about.
it's not. I don't think it's called Sims 5. I think
Ah,
it's
okay.
a new Sims game. And they showed it off, and it looks absolutely stunning.
I looked up new Sims game and I found like something called Inzoi, which looks and sounds a lot like what you're talking about.
It's the one with the hyper realistic graphics.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's called Inzoi.
So this is made with Unreal 5. Like,
Yes, well, that explains it.
yeah. So like looked up and saw this. The character creator looks absolutely amazing. Like
Yeah, yeah.
legitimately, like you can make any character you want. Amazing, about time. Looks really solid. The cities look like, I mean, the cities look like like a full on city that you play in like in the like any of, like, you know, Cyberpunk or any of the other, like, you know, big city based games.
Yeah, this game
But
looks, dude,
you can also
yeah.
design and create, and they do the Sims speak.
Oh yeah.
Again, the Sims air quotes, because that's not what the air quote Sims speak stuff, but it's not the Sims. So yeah, looks pretty interesting, pretty amazing overall. Like, this looks beautiful,
This is,
and
yeah.
I can see I can already see them. Like, there's going to be 1,000 mods for this. You know, I've never once wanted to play a zombie apocalypse mod in a previous Sims game, but now I really want to play it in this.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, dude, I saw like pictures for this. I didn't know what the hell it is, but I'm looking at it right now. This looks incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah, this is sort of like this game's message to EA and The Sims. It's sort of like the equivalent that Pal World was to Pokemon. This is this is impressive, man. I haven't played The Sims since I was like 8, but man, this is making me want to play. Like, wow. Anyway.
So, and I gotta say, this is I I believe it's Crafton is the publisher,
Oh, okay.
and they're the people behind
PUBG.
PUBG and Callisto Protocol. They're the ones who have been like helping some of these studios that have been shut down. So they're going out of their way to like recruit and bring people in.
Yeah.
And again, like in just 3 of these articles here, I did a search. There's 27 references to The Sims. So I wonder I wonder why they're doing that for traffic. Yeah, interesting. Annoying, interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm looking at the top comment on GameSpot trailers for this game, and it says, I hope the Sims team are sweating from this. We need more competition in the life sim genre. Yeah,
mhm,
exactly.
yeah. So okay, looks honestly like really really good. Endzone 2. Wow, really looking forward to this one. Wife really liked Endzone 1. I liked the idea. It was beautiful. It was a really good take on the post-apocalyptic world. Now we've got it. Now we've got a second one coming out, and looks even better. Very beautiful, very very gorgeous, and again, really grasping at that, like, building settlements in the post-apocalyptic world, which is always a good thing and a fun thing to do. So really looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
And then we've got Atomfall,
Speaking of
which
post-apocalyptic.
is, yeah, and they even said in one of their interviews that they're trying to like emulate Fallout as much as they can,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing because the fact that they would even come out and say that directly. But looking at the game, it's really hard not to see the direct Fallout references in the game. Like the style, even the artistic style is borrowing lightly, I'd say, from them. Or, I mean, as far as like their own style, not post-apocalyptic, because it's that's not a style that anybody owns. That's just post-apocalyptic.
Art direction, you mean?
Yeah, so the unique art direction on top of it does seem to be kind of lending a little bit more to that. But overall, the game looks really, really amazing, and I'm really, really excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, did you see this announcement for Secret Level?
No, what is it?
This is Amazon Prime putting out a new series, which brings in many shorts and episodic shows from existing games. They've got a whole bunch of games that they're bringing stuff out for. And this is downright shocking. I don't even know, like, so that I know they've got some Warhammer stuff coming in from that.
Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
Okay, you're telling me, so what you're telling me is that they could, the series, if they wanted to do an episode about Limbo, like just a random indie game off the top of my head, that's what they're trying to do? Like if they wanted to do a story for an episode, like for something like that, just a random game. That's what.
Yeah, but so I'm gonna go through the list here, and you're gonna scream at some of these. I guarantee it.
Okay.
Pac-Man.
Okay.
We're getting a full Pac-Man.
Cute.
Warhammer 40K.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting Concord, because apparently that's something that they.
Oh my. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah. Yes, that's kind of interesting. I was like, so they kind of, that's why they created all those characters and voice casted them with all those people and like actual like actors. It's because they actually have a tie-in show that ties into this. I think you're gonna yell.
Yeah, how many people are playing Concord right now? But anyway, go ahead.
Not a lot. But this next one's gonna be really interesting.
All right.
Mega Man.
Hey, all right. I dig it. That's cool.
I have seen I saw like a couple of flashes, but I looked up and I got some actual like screenshots. Looks really good.
Nice.
Looks like legitimately looks really good. Got Unreal Tournament.
Oh, ooh, nice.
Apparently they are not dropping New World. They're actually pushing this. So we got New World, got Armored Core.
Oh, okay. Really?
As an actual show.
Nice. Yep. Nice.
Spelunky.
Hey, okay. All right, cool. That's cool.
Honor of Kings.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sifu.
Nice.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Good.
Yeah. The Outer Worlds.
All right.
Crossfire, Exodus, and apparently a secret collection of Sony PlayStation games and characters. Not given out as an official list yet, but the confirmation is that Sony has several shows. Episodes coming out in this show.
Dude, if I could get a standalone frickin' Bloodborne or Shadow of the Colossus episode, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Well, I would say that you take your top 10 shows, games, IPs, that kind of stuff coming out from PlayStation. You take your top 10 of those that haven't had some kind of some kind of a show or something done with it, and you got yourself a pretty darn big, impressive list there that could be literally anything.
Yeah, it's not going to be it's not going to be The Last of Us because they're already doing that on HBO. It's not going to be Spider-Man. I'd be surprised if it was Spider-Man. Maybe Horizon. That makes sense. It might be a little bit.
Horizon makes sense, but a bunch of games that I think we could end up seeing, possibly a snake of the metallic kind.
Don't you play with my heart. That's not even funny, Cy. Don't make me come over there. Anyway.
I'm just saying there's some interesting stuff. I I saw this. I was quite shocked. I'm starting to do some digging on it. Looks really interesting. I don't remember when it's premiering. Let's see if it's in this article here. I do not see it. Thank you so much. You're very, very helpful. Yeah. Oh no, wait. We do have a release date. It is December.
Hey,
so
all right,
we're gonna get into December, and so it's gonna be a total of 15 episodes, I believe. And then we're going to. Looks like they've already confirmed it for a second season, which will continue. Which will contain more. So we're going to see a lot from this, and this is a very interesting play that Amazon's doing. Instead of pitching a show for every single one of the series or the IPs, they're doing one for basically each of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see which ones are very, very popular, and then those will probably, honestly, will probably get some kind of a spin-off series.
Yeah.
That's like an official series, essentially.
That might be a cool,
very interesting.
It might be a cool way for them to introduce God of War, because we know that there's a God of War series coming, which Jason Momoa. But anyway, that's absolutely fantastic news. I didn't know. Like I heard the name. Sorry, what's it called? Secret something. Secret level.
Mm-hmm.
Secret level. Yeah, I heard about it. I didn't really look into it, but that's an amazing concept, and that's very very creative. And if they're ordering it for a second season, I hope that that's a sign of confidence from Amazon and not just, them throwing Amazon money at it. But yeah, that's a great way to sort of bring more video game IPs to the forefront and show their storytelling capacity. Give me a shout out, Colossus. That'd be so cool. All right, now I just have a few of mine that I'm just going to go down. Mostly stuff that's not really particularly interesting to me, but I know would be interesting to a lot of people. It's a new Dying Light game coming out. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it does have a solid fan base. I mean, it's one of the most... Yeah, it's the best-selling horror IP out there, believe it or not. It's sold like tens of millions of copies, outside of Resident Evil, obviously. Borderlands 4, never played a Borderlands game. I'm going to try and play Borderlands 2 relatively soon with my wife, because we're looking for games to play, just to see, like, I hear it's the best one. And then if I like it, maybe I'll do Borderlands 4 at some point. Adamfall, Black State looks really interesting. It still looks very alpha-ish, but like the stuff that they have there looks really, really cool, really gorgeous, and really cool combat. So I can't believe it's been a year since Crimson Desert re-entered the public consciousness. Remember when we used to talk about, where the hell is Crimson Desert? Is that game just never happening? But then they released a trailer and it looked great. Well, it's been a year since that. Can you believe it? Like, God, the time. And they showed us a whole bunch of boss battles. One reviewer I saw compared it to, imagine God of War meets Dragon's Dogma. That's exactly what Crimson Desert is, and it continues to look great. It's probably one of my most anticipated games right now. There were a couple others. Oh, yeah, Avowed. It's coming out either February or March of next year. That's cool. Some of the impressions that we've been hearing are actually better than what I was expecting, because I don't really know what to make of it. I've been curious about it because it is Obsidian. It's an RPG that is as close to Elder Scrolls as we're going to get in the next 20 years. But yeah, some of the people that played it have said that it's actually a lot better than even they were expecting, because they were somewhat pessimistic about it too. Now, the two big ones that I'm really looking forward to are Indiana Jones. That one, we finally have a release date for that. It's coming out December 9th. Yep. I'm not hugely excited about it, but I'm excited about it because Indiana Jones, despite the fact that we haven't really gotten anything substantially good since arguably The Last Crusade, it just has such a huge place in my heart. It's one of the movies that I grew up... I fondly remember watching the Raiders of the Lost Ark with my dad. It's one of my fondest childhood memories. And I love the original three movies, and I've been waiting for somebody to nail it. And it looks like they got something really, really interesting here. So I'm going to buy it. But the big thing, Dune Awakening. Oh my God, Side. Oh my God.
It looks really interesting. It's looking better and better each time I see it, but I am still very confused onto whether or not it's going to actually be good.
Well, I mean, they seem to have the right ingredients. It's just a matter of whether those things are coming together. So the stuff that they showed us in this new gameplay showcase are like what's going to happen in the first few hours of the game. You're going to get dropped off on Arrakis. You're going to go up on missions with people that you meet, and there's various ways that you can approach taking over somebody's base. You can go stealthy, you can go all guns blazing and all that. And then once you start getting all your materials and stuff, you can build your own bases. And here's the thing that I really thought was cool. You can create blueprints for your bases and then replicate them in other places on the planet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can sell them.
Yeah, you can sell them too. That's really cool. And then you can also build your own ornithopter, and the ornithopter, them flying around Arrakis. Oh my god, I was absolutely losing my mind. That looks so cool. But yeah, there's a couple of things where I'm still scratching my head. It's like, okay, is this going to make for a consistently good gameplay loop? And how are the PvP elements not going to interfere and make me want to like get really angry? So for example, Syb, if I'm not mistaken, at one point in that trailer, somebody uses a thumper to summon one of the sandworms. How the hell are they not... Okay, so they summon the sandworm because one of the things you can do in the game is you can fight over large quantities of spice or something. But like you can have your own PvP faction. You could go up against somebody else's PvP faction. These big wars, that's really cool. But if you get summon a freaking sandworm at any time, how the hell is like any battle going to be won? I can only imagine that they would put the thumpers behind like $1 billion or something. But yeah, and then it's like you're on a desert planet. How are you going to set things up so that way you're not just walking around huge stretches of nothingness all the time? And you got to have like stuff throughout the world that constantly keeps you interested. But I mean, despite those worries, things are still looking promising nonetheless, you know? So yeah, any thoughts on that? Extra thoughts, I mean?
I think that I think the survival genre has really advanced over the last few years. And that's a big if, they actually track it all the way through, then I think we're going to see something that looks pretty darn good. Because survival games can be really, really good. I've played a lot of them, and I think that there's some really good options out there. And especially if you're building it from the grounds up with all this new tech, I think we are going to see something really, really good, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Dune's really hot right now. And, they got a good developer behind it. They did Conan Exiles, which a lot of people love. So, yeah. The only question I'm going to have to ask myself is like, okay, if this is an MMO, I got to find a way to get into it like right when it begins and then get out of it before all the updates come out, because otherwise it's just going to consume my life. Oh my God, it looks good. All right. And that's pretty much it from Gamescom this year. It's solid stuff, nothing huge, but, solid showcase and stuff that I'm really looking forward to. All right. Big week for news. A whole bunch of stuff is going to be coming up in the next month or two. We got Visions of Mana coming out next week. Star Wars Outlaws. We're going to be keeping our eyes on the reviews for that. That's going to be interesting. Space Marine 2. And then the month after that, obviously, a Silent Hill 2 remake and Metaphor ReFantazio. We're going to be looking at all of that, so you want to keep your eyes glued to the Triple S League channel. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You know the drill. Thank you, Syb, as always, for doing this with me, man. Anything you want to plug before we're done?
No, we're still trying to get stuff rolling here. It's very annoying.
Yeah. It's all good, man. And you guys can find me on all the regular forms of social media, just at Max Derrat. I'll put a link to that in the description box below. Should have a new video out on Sunday. I'll tell everybody what it is right now. I usually like to keep these things a secret. It's going to be on the top 10 most philosophical anime ever made. Because the video I did on the top 10 most philosophical games were so good, I figured I'd do one on that. So stay tuned for that. Until then, guys, I want to remind you, as always, and as per usual, when we do this again next week, just remember, stay yellow, okay? Peace out. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.